All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we've got great news. It looks like the WBC has ordered Errol Spence Jr. to fight Keith Thurman, and that they have a fight date and time available for them. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about Errol Spence Jr. and the 147-pound division. It looks like we are going to get the fight that I have been wanting to see for years. And no, it is not the Terence Crawford fight, but in my opinion, it's about the second best option that we have. Maybe the third. Some people may pull in somebody else. But before I get into that, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are a longtime subscriber and supporter of the channel, thank you so much for continuing to support the channel. It really, really does mean a lot. Cannot tell you how much it means. Also, if you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. So it is being reported through various different sources. USA Today is reporting this. Lance Pugmire, very well-known boxing writer, is reporting it also, that not only will the WBC, the World Boxing Council, order the Errol Spence Jr. Keith Thurman fight, but they also were saying that that fight, they already have a date in mind for that fight between the two of them, and that will be in the month of February. I have a suspicion that that date would be February 4th. Let me, in the middle of this video, look just to make sure that I ain't not tripping about the date of the 4th. February 4th, yes, that would be the first Saturday in February. And that, in my opinion, is excellent news. And what it tells you is that this is a fill-in fight for the bout that they would have been making for Errol Spence Jr. versus Terence Crawford. Because if you recall, the fight date that was on the contract or on the offer sheet, whichever it wound up being, that Terence Crawford had accepted before he pulled out to fight David Avancian, was February 4th. And now it is being reported out of the USA Today, the sources in close to the WBC are saying that is what they're looking to do. Now, why, a reasonable person could ask, well, how would you know the fight date if they have not mandated it? So it would seem as if they would mandate the fight first, and then after they mandate the fight, the two fighters would come together, and then they would move on and they would figure out a negotiated date and all of that. Well, seeing as Keith Thurman was moved up into the #1 position for Errol Spence Jr., it seems as if they said, okay, well, I will fight him, but I have to fight him as a mandatory. You're going to have to mandate it. If he would fight him as a voluntary, then he would still have that WBC mandatory held over his head. Now, if this is true, right, this is in contradiction to what Errol Spence Jr. has said before about how he would not fight Keith Thurman. However, this is a type of situation where Errol may have been put in a situation where he really doesn't have any choice. And what is that situation? One, Terence Crawford ducked him. And I'm going to say that and continue to say that because guess what? This fight is on February 4th. This fight is not in December. If the fight had been in December, then you could say, okay, well, Errol obviously was negotiating with a fight with Keith Thurman, and he didn't want to fight Terence Crawford because, he was willing to fight Keith Thurman on December 17th, but he was not willing to fight Keith Thurman. Now, with Keith Thurman being in February, that tells you that's the date that they had available for the Terence Crawford fight, which in my opinion, let's count the weeks here, okay, or the months. December 10th, January 10th, December 4th. That is about 8 weeks, maybe 9 weeks separating the two fights. That does not seem to me to be a period in time in which so much rust is going to build up on you that Terrence Crawford couldn't have just fought on February, but more in February. But more importantly, Terrence Crawford, according to everybody in this camp, accepted that date, but walked away. Now, how good a fight is Errol Spence Jr. and Keith Thurman? I think it's a very good fight. I think it is a fight that will probably sell very well. I hope that it is a fight that takes place in Dallas, Texas, because if it is, I'm going to be going to the fight in Dallas, Texas. Keith Thurman is a legitimate top-level welterweight, right? And somebody that we wanted to see in a fight with Errol Spence Jr. for a long time. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how Errol Spence Jr. switches his mentality from facing Terrence Crawford to facing Keith Thurman when he really had his mind set on Keith Thurman. Will he be able to switch his focus and get his mind completely around Keith Thurman? Right now, Keith Thurman, I think that the fight between Errol and Terrence, in my opinion, Errol and Keith Thurman, in my opinion, is a good setup for the Terrence Crawford fight if they decide to continue to go that route. Because like Keith Thurman said, Errol would be fighting somebody that moves very well, that is more of kind of a slick fighter, where he would have to cut off the ring and get to him. And also, Keith Thurman really does have very, very big power, very, very solid power, and definitely has the ability to hurt people. Now, of course, people are going to point to Keith Thurman and what appears to be Keith Thurman's, what can you say, Achilles heel, which is he apparently does not like shots to the body. But he's going to have to take those shots to the body if he's going to be beating Errol Spence, if he's going to be stand a chance to beat Errol Spence. I like the fight. I've been saying for a long time that I want to see that fight. I know there was reasons why Errol said he was not going to fight Keith, which is pretty much that Keith Thurman was ducking him early on in his career. But my logic was, hey, man, join the crew at this point in time, because Danny Garcia didn't want to originally fight Errol. He wound up fighting Errol eventually. Sean Porter didn't want to originally fight Errol. He wound up fighting Errol eventually. Terrence Crawford just got done ducking Errol Spence Jr., just like Keith Thurman ducked him. So if everybody's going to duck you, Keith Thurman ain't any different. If you're going to go back and fight Terrence Crawford after Terrence Crawford slipped out the room on you, you might as well give a pass to Keith Thurman. But more importantly, you're not going to be with the WBC doing this. Errol Spence Jr. is not going to be in a position of being able to fight for the mandatory title of the undisputed title against Terrence Crawford if he doesn't defend his mandatory and he winds up getting stripped, right? That basically throws it up into a situation where Keith Thurman would fight Virgil Ortiz or somebody like that for the WBC title. And then Terrence Crawford will say, well, I'd rather fight Keith Thurman. Say Keith Thurman wins. Oh, I'd rather fight Keith Thurman because, Keith Thurman's got belts too. You know what I mean? So the strap season wouldn't have ended with that. Very interesting situation. But like I say, I will take it. I will most definitely take it. But anyway, it is what it is. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.